Just gonna hang out under this light here. Good morning. It is Friday, May 8th. It is 5:50 in the morning. And for anyone who's been following along with this YouTube channel for the past almost 8 years, you know I'm not a morning person, or have not been a morning person, but this has been my life lately. I start my days usually around 5:15, 5:30, and I come to the monastery. There's a monastery very close to where I live, and I pray with the monks. So that's what we're going to be doing right now. This is how we start every day. We pray with the monks, we go to Mass, and then we get the workday started. I'm wondering, and forgive me, it's been quite some time since I've vlogged. When do you get too old for this? I feel like I'm already there, I feel like I've already been there. Something doesn't feel right when it's like you've lost all your hair, and you're like, yeah, we're gonna vlog. But I've been getting asked for these, and frankly, I think my life has changed enough, become dynamic enough, that it actually would be, I think, interesting to talk you through my day. So, like I said, day starts at 5:30. I head to the monastery to pray with the monks, to attend Mass, and then the day gets started. And I've never been a calendar guy either, but having tasks to just check off, like my wife who's super type A, and I've always been type B my whole life, and thankfully I've been working with guys who are type A as well. They're just like, what are you doing? Like, where was this your whole life? Yeah, like, of course it's satisfying to have a task list and just aggressively check it off throughout the day. So I have several calls this morning, some mentorship calls. One is a potential project I'll be working on, and then I will head to the gym. I will be eating a lot. And then, what else do I have? See if I had my task list in front of me. But anyway, we'll get back to that. It's 5:54. I'm going to try to see if I can get you guys just like a vantage point of what this looks like and sounds like to pray with the monks. I'm not going to film during Mass. That would be incredibly immodest and disrespectful. But I do want to see if I can just get kind of like a sit in the back kind of view, so you guys can see what this is like. Obviously, I'm not going to turn this into a Catholic channel primarily by any means, but this is a part of my day. So if you're here for the vlog, you're here for the Mass, and you're here for the chanting, and you're here for the monks. I'll see you guys in a bit.
The Lord God shall be thy light, and they shall reign forever. The angel said to him, these words are trustworthy and true. The Lord, the God of prophetic spirits, has sent his angel to show his servants what must happen very soon.
So I got to know, at what point does it become over the top with all your different gadgets making espresso? Because I just sprayed this with water to de-staticify it before going into its external grinder. Gonna pour that in now. And I think it's a horseshoe theory. This is my theory about coffee. Is it follows the horseshoe theory, where if you're drinking just absolute battery acid from a gas station, that's based. When you get into the middle ground where you're drinking, Starbucks, or you're getting these matcha lattes and all this other stuff from these boutique coffee shops, that's cringe. But then when you circle around to setting up science experiments to get exactly 32 grams of coffee. I saw a video the other day, I think it was Mozart or Beethoven, would individually count out 50 beans of coffee. And if he had 51 or 49, he could tell that his coffee was off. And everyone's like, wow, he's really autistic. And it's like, people do that today. We just have a scale to make it even more precise. You think he wouldn't have used a scale if he had one back then? I'm sure he had scales. Historically, they had scales. But he probably didn't have a scale to do it, or just didn't bother because he counted out 50 beans. I don't know. Anyway, this is based. So I'm going to make coffee, and then I'm going to answer my clients for the day. Usually what I do after my first meal, which I'll get to in a second, I just answer all the messages of my athletes from the night before. And one of the things that is so funny when I talk to people, because inevitably, I'll show up to the coffee shop or something dressed in this way, and I'm usually coming back from Mass, and people will be like, oh, what do you do for work? Because I talk to the people who work at the coffee shop because I'm always there. And I'm like, oh, well, I coach powerlifting. And then they're like, whoa, that's so cool. And they start asking me these questions. And I'm like, well, I'm basically an adult babysitter. Give it a little stamp action. And then because I don't have something to hold it level, I did for the old basket that I had. I think that's the correct terminology. But this one is a different size. Oh, man. So I don't have a level for this, so I just eyeball it, which is also the way better way to do this. I would say genuinely, only maybe 15% of my shots come out kind of messed up, where there's channeling and it, doesn't all flow like it's supposed to, but I feel like eyeballing it, we do a pretty good job, honestly. You just gotta play around with it a little bit. I'm sure any actual coffee people are probably just internally dying watching me do this. I'm probably tamping it incorrectly. I'm just trying to make sure it looks even. And then hopefully we can get a good shot. Another thing that I'm so happy I've seen the light on is sugar in coffee. It's delicious. What was I doing all these years? Like, yeah, there were times I would have, mixed drinks with milk and sugar and syrups and all that, and I still do, and those are great. They're delicious. But that can't be your daily driver. You can't be riding off of that much dopamine. But black coffee, I think people pretend. It's good. It's good, no doubt. Good coffee is good. But you put some sugar in the bottom of your cup, wherever it is, here we go. Just 2 teaspoons, not tablespoons, I promise, not tablespoons. 2 teaspoons of sugar, and it is delicious. Now, you're just gonna have to trust me that this is gonna be a good shot. I'm gonna literally stick my head under here, and I promise you it's good. Okay, it's kind of mid, but it's probably a proper way to, like, you're not supposed to swirl, you just go back and forth, whatever it is. You like these Italian cups. Cheers. So we're eating meal number 1 for the day here. We've got Greek yogurt, honey, coconut flakes, and I don't know if it's too, you guys see, it's basically just like drywall, but, and honeydew. And my diet lately, if any of you are familiar with Ray Peat was a biologist who has since passed. He was in favor of what is now like more commonly talked about in the food sphere as like the bioenergetic diet, pro-metabolic diet. And I obviously can't simplify his framework into simple sentences because he was a very thoughtful individual, but for the sake of brevity, if I had to summarize some key points from his framework, he basically would say that a lot of people have underactive thyroid, they have poor liver function, they have high parathyroid hormone, and they have gut dysbiosis. And all of these things obviously interplay. I mean, your body is, everything plays on itself, on each other. But in a practical sense, it's eliminating PUFAs from your diet, increasing dairy intake, increasing sugar intake, trying to find fruits that specifically have a really good glucose to fructose ratio, and then limiting like fermentable starches in the gut, right? So, grains, even vegetables. I mean, a lot of vegetables have always given me trouble. I've never been a big vegetable consumer anyway. But basically my diet nowadays, it consists of yogurt, cheese, red meat, chicken breast, shrimp, some fish, some egg, and a lot of ripe fruit, like melons, papayas, oranges, ripe bananas, dates, I mean, you name it. Tons of fruit. Most of my carbs actually come from sugar. The only starches I'm really eating are like boiled potatoes with no skin, carrots, occasionally like nixtamalized corn. I'm thinking about working rice back in. We will see. But in terms of like what my, percentage of carbs from sugar looks like, it's pretty big. The only time I'm eating the potatoes is usually at night. and I'm eating about 600 grams of carbs right now. So my macros, it's kind of floating. The carbs are actually really the static one for the most part, as I try to get 600 grams of carbs a day. But then protein can be anywhere from like 250 to 300. I don't try to hit 300, to be clear. I'm trying to be in that 250 range. But the issue is that when you eat 6 times a day, which is what I'm doing right now, if you have any leftover, right? Like you plan for 50 and you end up getting 60 in a meal. Well, you do that 6 times a day, it adds up, right? And then fats, I'm usually trying to keep around 100 or less. So calories most days are around 4,200, 6 meals a day. And I feel amazing. Mental clarity, good sleep, good skin, great energy in the gym. The other big thing was like, I always had like slightly low thyroid, T3 and T4. And, I never really noticed like any crazy symptoms. But one thing I did have was cold extremities. Like my hands and my feet would get cold even if the rest of my body felt warm. Like I never felt cold, but I could feel that my extremities were cold. And since being on this diet, I've just been a furnace. Like that has gone away. So I'm excited to get blood work done at some point and see how that's improved. I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling you guys, hey, you need to be running this diet, but just knowing myself, kind of where things were at, it's been really nice. And as a former fat kid, being able to maintain 86 kilos, which is where I'm currently at, on 1,000 more calories than what I previously was on to maintain this body weight, clearly indicates that my body is working to a better degree than it was previously. Do my adult babysitting, get on calls, and I'll see you guys at the gym. And pain was already going to be dwindling anyway, because I think we have the exercise selection, the velocities to mitigate that pain. But if we're able to have productive sessions that create less pain, that are less painful in the moment, maybe they're bringing their grip in, is the dumbbell. So we just got to the gym, and I don't think I've ever been more excited. I won't say that. I have not been this excited to train probably since the beginning of my powerlifting career. And why do I say that? Well, it's no secret. I am going up to the 93 kilo weight class. And I think if I had to boil it down to something that makes me so excited, it's this. Is that powerlifting is not like the other sports, in that when you get to the highest level, you can't really outwork your opponents. Now, obviously, I would confidently say that I have probably outworked a vast majority of the people who have powerlifted. There's a reason I've been doing this as long as I have been at the level I have been. But you get to a certain point where it becomes less about how hard you can push yourself and more about just finding the right formula and mentally staying in the pocket when you have to and letting it fly when you have to. But I've never been able to, especially in all these recent years as an 83, really empty the tank, because there's this recovery cost to doing so, and more is not always better. But now, for the first time since I was maybe a teenager, I know that throttling myself in the gym will now finally have payoff. And this is something that I feel like I've been unleashed. I feel like I've been given the opportunity to absolutely let it fly every workout. And it will be to my benefit. To truly put on tissue. So today starts day 1. And I'm bringing you guys along for this. Of a mission of actual bodybuilding. Of intensity in the gym. And I'm going to try to have rep counters up on the screen. Count full reps, count partials. And I want to show that I am going to empty the tank. That I am going to push myself as hard as I possibly can. And I want you guys to let me know in the comments if you see me dogging it, if you think I had another rep and I quit early. I want this to harken back to the 80s, 90s era of bodybuilding, where you had these intense presence, where you had these intense, magnanimous fixtures in the sport of bodybuilding who commanded respect with how hard they push themselves in training. Almost to the point where people nowadays would be like, oh, that's too much. You know, that's too many reps. It's not optimal. Too little rest, blah, blah, blah. It's like, whatever happened to just being a dog? Whatever happened to just suffering and pushing yourself? Powerlifting has gotten away from that. And for good reason at times, right? Like we know that going to failure all the time is not the key to being the best powerlifter you can be. There's a limit to how much you can do. And you could maybe see more progress with not doing that. But today begins a period of time where the focus will be growth, will be muscle mass, and pain and suffering. And I am thrilled for it. I have a notebook. I'm going to be writing stuff in a notebook. You guys will see that. I don't have anything else to say. Let's get to work. Day one.
All right. 220 kilos is probably going to be the last warm-up. I'm thinking with how much we're pushing the bodybuilding stuff and it being a new split, which I'll get into a little bit later, I want to take it light. Yeah, that feels good. Gonna go 265. Start the block easy. Stay in the legs, stay relaxed in the upper body. The first of many. I didn't love that, but I didn't hate it. Probably light. I just need to make sure that I keep the flow that I want. Staying open, not overly stiffening the low back. So contrary to what many people may think about powerlifting, which honestly for the most part is probably true, deadlifts are like the least taxing lift for me to do. So for all of Lent, so basically from February up until last week, I was deadlifting 4 days a week. And that was like actual comp deadlifting 4 times a week. And it was fine. It was very tolerable. But now that I'm shifting back into more hypertrophy work, trying to bring down the specificity because there's just no need to deadlift that often, I'm deadlifting on upper body days. This is the only day of my training split where I'm doing multiple body parts heavy. And that brings me to my next point, which is that I am running 8-day splits going forward. So it's just going to rotate, or rather it's going to shift down one day whenever I start the week. So one week I may start on a Monday, next week I may start on a Tuesday. Thankfully my schedule allots for it, but what it allows me now to do is really prioritize specific body parts at a specific point in time. So like tomorrow, for example, is just legs. Like I am just doing legs. And now moving on to bench, instead of benching 6 out of every 7 days or 5 out of every 7 days like I've traditionally done, I'm benching 5 out of every 8 days. And I honestly couldn't be less excited, in a sense. I'm very excited for all the workouts, but I couldn't be less excited about benching relative to how excited I am about the accessories I'm going to be doing on every bench day. So today is ascending 6s on comp bench, and then I'm going to be doing weighted dips, and I'm going to be doing incline flies. And like I said, if you guys see me slacking, I need you to let me know. All right, so I'm going to do the top set, 365 pounds. Obviously nothing near a top set of 6, but the prescription for today is ascending sets at RPE 7. And bench, to be honest with you, has not been in the best shape, but we're gonna make that change very soon. And we're just starting the block, so gotta build the base. Oh man, slipping all over the plate. That's all right. It's a day one. How it's gonna go. All right, so I'm like hoping and praying that I have the gain set properly on this mic. I mean, it's just so loud in here that even if it is, what are you gonna do? They're like moving stuff around in the gym, adding new equipment, drilling stuff. So I hope you guys can hear me. I want it to be the balance of like not clipping, and then also you're not just, you know, hearing all the background noise. So this is where I'm excited for. We're gonna do, so we have sets of 12. We're gonna do a couple sets first, static weight, shorter rest, and then we're just gonna send it on the last set and give it everything we've got. So set one. I don't even know if that was 12. All right, so the plan is total and complete decimation. We drop the 10s off each side because I think to truly get a high rep AMRAP, it's not gonna happen with the 35 on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do as many reps as I can. Then I'm gonna do forced reps with the foot pedal. So you have this foot pedal down here. That'll bring it up to the top. So I'll be able to crank out negatives after getting it back up with force reps. And then I'm just gonna do partials until it feels like my pec will tear off the bone. So here we go. Come on. All right, force reps. Oh, come on. In the words of Tom Platt, you have achieved failure. All right, last set, total failure. I've done what I would call the more powerlifting specific dips, like trying to lean forward more, pausing, focusing on a forceful concentric, just treating it rep by rep. But now we're gonna drop down to a plate and we're just gonna do as many as we can. Constant tension, and then following the set with one plate, we'll take it off, we'll go to none, and yeah, achieve failure again. Achieve flailing as well too. All right, so that's it for day one. It's only 4 movements today, which is like, it's a very foreign concept, right? I think when you get to an advanced place in your powerlifting career, you're doing multiple movements a day. 3 of your movements may just be the main lifts, not to mention the accessories you have on top of that. So to come in to do deadlifts, which were relatively nonchalant, and then just do 2 really intense chest exercises, it feels very fulfilling, but then you want more. And I think that's the nice part about having this 8-day split, where it's like, you may leave a session and be like, okay, I know I have more juice, but you have to be ready for the next day. Tomorrow is going to be a very, very intense leg day, which you guys will see in this video. And just got to stay even keeled. I think that's one of the difficult parts about pacing your way through hard programming, is just not mentally staying on fire for all of it. Because when you burn out at the wrong time, which is usually when things really need you to demand more of yourself, you're getting the least out of your programming when you should be getting the most. So what I do now is every workout, or almost every workout, I like to hop in the sauna and pray the rosary in there. So if you're Catholic, you're Christian, you want to stop right now and pray the rosary, I'm going to disappear for 15 minutes. I'm not going to leave the screen black for 15 minutes. But you can go pray your rosary right now. That's what I'm going to do. Middle of every video, mandatory rosary. You pause, you come back, you watch the rest of the video. See you in a bit. All right, so we're back here for day 2. I'm so excited for these sessions because, as I mentioned, my workouts have usually been a squat, a bench, a deadlift, some combination of all of these, and having to sort of split your energy across multiple body parts or multiple movements, knowing you have to pace yourself. And today is just legs. Today is day 2, lower body. We have squats, light triple, light sets of 6, but after that, it's all heavy work. We have a hack squat AMRAP today. We have high rep Bulgarians and hip adductions. And these are movements where Marcellus is giving me license to just empty the tank. So probably going to try to find someone to give me a spot for those and really just try to grow the legs. I think this has been one part of my body that I've sort of taken for granted as like, oh yeah, I've always had big legs throughout my career, but if I'm going up, you look at the legs in the 93 kilo weight class, that's a step above, and I can't rest on my laurels. So we really, really have to push quad growth this off season. And I think with the 8-day split, I'm going to have the opportunity to recover from these sessions that I'm pushing really hard. So we're going to get to it. Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually probably going to get on the Stairmaster or the bike. And to have a preparation moment like that is, it feels nice to like visualize the workout. You know, when you're warming up in typical powerlifter movement prep, you're already like within the workout, if that makes sense. This almost feels like you're watching the workout from outside and you're like, all right, like what do I need to do today? Let's get going. So we're going to get to work now. Squats, it's going to probably take 495-ish for a top triple. Nothing crazy. Like I said, pacing really conservatively, and then we empty the tank on accessories. All right, top set, 495. We'll move easy regardless. It's just a matter of how clean. For me, if the walkout sucks, the lift sucks. I need to stay on the 4-foot on the walkout, and I need to not overbrace. Just get my weight out in front of me and just inhale. That's all we got. Stay forward. Forget this gym doesn't have 2.5s readily available. People always have to steal them from the powerlifting section, but it's all good. We'll start light. Thank you, brother.
I'm going a little bit lighter today.
So we're gonna stick with 3 plates again, I think today. I did 30 reps with this earlier in the week, but that was the only set that I did. This will be sets of 10, 2 sets, and then an AMRAP. I am so angry. So earlier this week, I did 3 plates on the Cybex for 30. Today, I got a spotter from my buddy Josh, and I did 45 with 3 assisted, and it didn't record. I guess we gotta beat it next week. 50 it is. So this is the last set of 4. These are deceptively difficult, especially when you take the moment arm as far away from the adductor as possible. So both trying to keep the legs as straight as you can while also keeping the pads as close to the knee as possible. Kind of leaning forward so you're not in a crazy amount of, or rather a shallow hip extension. Hip flexion, I can't even speak. The workout. That singular set of hack squat I think was the hardest set of anything I've ever done, and I didn't even get it on video for you guys, which is horrible. It was probably close to a 5-minute set. And it knocked me out for the rest of the workout to the point where I didn't even film my RDLs for you because I just forgot. I will say, these seated adductions, they've made sitting into the bottom of a squat a lot more upright, more comfortable, even with flats, which make it a bit harder for me personally to stay upright. So definitely gonna keep doing these. And you know, I think when you introduce movements like this that are just completely in a different plane, right? You know, you don't move in the frontal plane in powerlifting much. Introduce them really light, do higher reps even if it's, you know, quote unquote more centrally fatiguing, blah, blah, blah. Because if your tissue's not prepared for heavy weight, you might be able to contract it, but you might strain something. And I've had that happen before on this specific machine, because I was just like, yeah, let me do sets of 8 and take plenty of rest and, you know, push as hard as I can. So, oh man, I'll do an outro at some point later. I need to get some food and water in me. I'll see you guys in a bit.
Good morning. It is Wednesday. Oh my goodness, it just reminds me of I think it was the first YouTube video I made when I started with it's Wednesday, my dudes. I'm gonna have to go back and put that in this clip, but
It's Wednesday, my dudes.
it's Wednesday and we're about halfway through this training week. I have to say, I've really been enjoying the split so far, even though it's literally been half a week. It took me until yesterday to not be sore in my legs from the hack squat, but it feels like this is going to be the appropriate amount of stimulus and rest. I'm obviously going to let things play out with the upper body. I think I can probably handle a little bit more, but I'm really looking forward to just showing you, you know, how hard we can really push things and hopefully be a source of motivation to just make training hard again as powerlifters, because like we said, it's not like other sports where you can just, you know, shoot around or take batting practice and more is better. A lot of times it's not, especially with the main lifts where we have to go lighter, There's a very hard cap to how much we can recover from, but in these stages where you really have an opportunity for growth, you don't want to waste it. So we have a couple days left. Let me just think. So today I have bench and back. Tomorrow I'll have my heaviest bench, and then I will have kind of like a recovery day, like an arms day. Recovery for me at least, because I don't have big arms. And then we will resume the next week, which is when I will put out the next video. So today's Wednesday. This video will be out tomorrow. And I decided, you guys can let me know in the comments for this if you want to talk me out of it, but I've decided I am going to go for that hack squat set again. I have to do it. I have to do it. I have to get the 40 plus on video. I have to shoot for 50. I just enjoy training this way. It's just more fun. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm gonna shoot for the 50. If you guys want to try to talk me out of it, you can go ahead. And then next week after this, we'll go up. We'll put a 25 on each side and try to keep that rep range, sub 30. But I'm really excited for this journey. Really excited to show you guys how this growth process goes, because like I said, I think so many powerlifters, they get in the surplus and they're like, okay, well, I'm just going to keep doing what I was doing and I'm going to just get a better result from it. But I think that this is a unique opportunity and I don't want to waste it. So I will see you guys in the next video. I will see you tomorrow, and let's get after it, baby.